Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a post-match pint in association with Purity Ale. If you want to get 10% off everything they have to offer, use the code #VillaView and you will get 10% off everything they have, including their lovely, lovely Villa Ale, which I enjoy very much. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by Omar to discuss Southampton 0, Aston Villa 1. Apologies, it's 24 hours later than we planned, but I got stuck on the motorway last night. Arrived at my hotel at 11:30, and there was absolutely no chance we were going to do a live show at 11:30 at night. I'm on a terrible run on the motorways at the moment, but Aston Villa Football Club are not on a terrible run, and Unai Emery's away day villains Omar. That's 3 from 3 now. Without being absolutely spectacular at St Mary's, Villa have come away with yet another result away from home, and the signs are good.
Signs are very good, mate. Signs are very good. I think I saw you on the motorway yesterday, mate, because I was coming down the M40 the other way, and I saw the traffic block. Did feel for you. I was going to send you a little text, but I was driving.
It wasn't good. It was not good.
I felt for you, mate. I know you've had some trouble, but yeah, no, excellent. Really, really good victory. I'm sure we'll go through the game in detail, but
yeah, we will go through the game, Omar.
Hopefully, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
that'd be nice
if we did. People would be upset if we didn't.
Yeah, they're already upset we're 10 minutes late.
Yeah, I saw.
But no, I thought overall really, really good first half. I thought the way we passed the ball, it's not something I've seen from a Villa side for quite some time, really. Probably under Gregory was the last time I saw us pass the ball like that.
If you can remember how we passed the ball under John Gregory, that was some exceptional memory. Because I remember it's been a good team, but I can't say that I remember how we passed the ball.
It's only because when I'm feeling down about Villa, I look at I watch the season review videos all the time.
They're on YouTube, aren't they? Villa Boy.
Villa Boy, yeah.
So I've been there when I'm glum too, mate.
And obviously, given what's happened over the last 10 years, I've watched those videos quite often. Yeah. But yeah, no, really, really impressive. I thought the biggest standout for me was that I'm hoping we finally figured out the midfield problem that we've had for so long. Because I thought the Kamara and Luiz both were excellent. And, without a good midfielder, we really struggled to do anything in the Premier League. And I think we're finally in a position where it may be beyond Douglas Luiz and Kamara, I'm not too sure, but they're definitely those two. They seem to be able to run a game in the Premier League, which is not something we've had for a long time. But yeah, and I thought fairly comfortable second half. I'm sure we'll come to it in a second, but Southampton came back in the game, and we'll talk about some of the sort of contentious decisions. But I thought overall we deserved it. The possession stats, the amount of shots on goal we had, still need to be a bit more clinical, still needed a bit more in the final third. But nice to see Ollie Watkins get that all-important goal as well. And again, defensively, excellent overall as well. Martinez, big shout out to him.
Yeah, right.
Ashley Young, fantastic. Tyrone Mings, just Mr. Consistent. Ezri Konsa, brilliant. Back to his best. I think I saw a stat around him being the least dribble past the least of any defender this season, this calendar year. I can't remember what it was. I think it was this season. But again, we were both really worried about him, weren't we?
He's bounced back. In fairness, I was all over him at the start of the season. I thought he needed taken out for his own good, but I've got to say, it's probably late September, October. I think Konsa's been pretty consistent, and like you say, back to the form that made him so popular the season before last. And there's so much good stuff at the moment. I don't think we're in any way near the finished article, but there's just a lot of good signs. Like you say, another solid clean sheet away from home. That's 1 goal conceded in 3 away games. We're very streetwise now, which is something Villa have never been. Very resolute, which again I feel like we haven't been over the years. We've been a bit of a soft touch, easy to play through. The passing, you can see what we're working on. You can see what we want to do. It doesn't always come off, and sometimes it does fall down when we get into the penalty area. But you can see those patterns of players starting to emerge now. Those sharp, incisive, one-touch passing players moving around, 1-2s. There was a lot of that in that first half against Southampton, and like I say, it kind of fell down when we got into the penalty area. But you do forget, it's very, very early days. These players are coming from a place of just really not being coached at all and having very little patterns of play, to having to learn by doing, basically, under Unai Emery, who is a demanding manager, someone who demands the best from his players, wants a high level in everything that you do. And the players are kind of, like I say, coming from that point of nothing really to doing that. And I think everyone's praising Unai Emery, and rightly so. 5 wins from 7. But the players that have been playing, they deserve an awful lot of credit as well, because they have done everything that's been asked of them, really, and you can see that they're on board with what the manager's doing. The players aren't perfect. What they're trying to do at the moment isn't perfect, but they're on board, and they're battling, and they're doing what Emery wants. And there's progress, and I think as Villa fans, 5 out of 7, that's better than we ever could have hoped for, especially when you look at the teams that we've played as well. Because going to Southampton again on Saturday, they weren't riding the crest of a wave or anything like that, but they were on a decent run. They'd won a few games in a row, won a couple of cup games, won a tough league game in a big game that they had to win. So they'd have been a little bit buoyant going to St Mary's, but Villa kind of, a bit like the Spurs game, kind of flattened the crowd a little bit, kept it tight, but boxed them in, didn't let them get too near our goal. I don't remember Martinez having anything to do in the first half, and by quietening the fans and putting the pressure on their players a little bit, Villa came out in the second half and were good and got the goal. So there's a lot to like about what we're doing so far, albeit that we're nowhere near the finished article.
Yeah, that perfectly sums it up, to be honest, mate. That's I think we should stop there. To be honest, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, I'm so tired. I was in a trance doing that. I don't even remember what I said.
I was too busy laughing at Ty commenting on my pink bottle. It's my daughter's bottle. I've nicked.
I have not seen Ty do that.
Yeah,
shouldn't be reading what he's saying whilst doing a podcast. Very unprofessional.
I'm just checking on the comments, mate. Okay. It was on the YouTube comments. But yeah, no, I thought I think that sums it up really well. I think what I like about this team is the confidence on the ball, the bravery on the ball, and the way that we try and let them press on us. We sort of play the ball in between. Years and years gone by, we've seen the ball play between our centre backs and with the ball going nowhere. But we're doing it now with a bit of a purpose. I.e., we're trying to play in between Martinez, Mings, and Konza to draw the opposition to then find that pass into the middle. And we've got players who are moving for once. We've got Buendia picking up space, Bailey come in, keeping the ball, retaining the ball. Ashley Young not just looking long. How many times have we seen Matty Cash just whip a ball over the top down the byline and McGinn try and run onto it and trying to hope something happened? And now we've got a bit of a plan. Martinez is a bit more comfortable with his feet.
He was very confident at the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah. That second half
of the day, I did some analysis on him. He was playing very, very high up, but he looked supremely confident with it.
Yeah, and it's just your point earlier around how we've transformed. I think if you look at most people's tweets or posts on forums or whatever, when Gerard went,
look at the forums today.
No. When Gerard, we'll come on to that in a second as well. When Gerard were left, everyone was like, any manager comes in has got a hard job to do here, regardless if it's Emery or whoever, to get these players to turn it around, and these players aren't good enough, etc., etc. It just shows you the effect of good coaching and having a game plan and giving people a game plan and an idea of how to play. And Ashley Young's come out, obviously, I think today or yesterday, about the manager's ideas, how meticulous he is, the winning mentality, what they work on the training pitch. Leon Bailey's come out and said a similar kind of thing. And I think the players have really bought into it. There's still improvement to be made because we know the squad isn't good enough. We've obviously lost a few, and we'll come on to transfers in a second as well. But I think how we've improved with the players that we've got. And let's not forget, these players it's a mismatch of players that Dean Smith wanted and players that Steven Gerrard wanted. It's not, it's not like Emery's inherited a squad that's cohesive and is already adopted, balanced and adopted. We have got one winger, for example, and we've still managed to play with width. And I think one of the move that summed it up for me was Ramsey's chance, and then Bailey, who came up afterwards and hit over the bar. The way we played the football, their little one-touch passes, the movement off the ball, the way the two midfielders got involved, just everything about that move summed up how we're playing at the moment. Second half, wasn't as good, but we did the job at the end of the day. And in terms of the decisions, I thought, I don't know what you think. For me, I didn't think the Ramsey one was a penalty. The first one, definitely the second one was a penalty.
I've got to be honest, I didn't think either of them were penalties.
I thought the second one was penalty because he's just gone through the back of him. But either way, I thought theirs was a foul. No, it's soft.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't even think it's soft. He's raked his Achilles. I just watched the Fulham Spurs game and someone raked the Achilles in the middle of the pitch and it was a foul. It was exactly the same. That was a foul. And the ref missed it, which is what VAR is there for.
It's quite funny watching Twitter after the game because most Saints fans were moaning that it was soft, but they were obviously thinking it was because it was a push rather than actually the Achilles, because they didn't really see that. So it was quite funny watching them lose.
Having your Achilles raked hurts.
Yeah. And he would have headed that. He was right. He was going right.
He was there. He was on the scene.
Yeah. So I think overall, I don't think they can have anything to moan about. And as you said, Southampton were in a decent run of form, so to put them away from home, we haven't got a good record against them. Let's remember.
Not St Mary's.
No. So yeah, excellent overall. Who was your standout players, do you think?
I thought Martinez obviously made a couple of great saves, and all round I enjoyed the way he sweeper kept the weekend. I thought he was very good. I thought he was definitely more adventurous this game than he has been in previous games. You can see that they're playing out from the back. It is coming on. I didn't think it was a massive problem against Leeds. I felt when we did it, we actually built some attacks from playing that way, and I felt the same again watching it on Saturday. I felt like when we were doing that, that was when we were opening them up and starting attacks. And people gone about it being nervy and things like that. I'm not seeing that at the moment. I mean, I'm absolutely asking for us to make a mistake next game by saying that.
But do you worry about?
I felt quite comfortable with it.
Do you worry at home? Because I think away
home it might be the problem.
Home, I'm a bit worried because I just get this feeling our fans are just not used to that way of playing, and I get it. Naturally, it's the amount of times I've sat in the upper hole and we've played it amongst the back. And to be fair, we never played with this amount of purpose before. But just get rid or just hoof it, get it down the line or whatever.
Forwards.
Yeah,
my least favourite thing I've ever heard at the football. Forwards. There's a guy in front of me that his favourite word is forwards.
Just does my head in. I think we've got to just be patient and get behind the team because we all make some mistakes. There'll be a game where Martinez messes up. Or
we've done it. It happened against Brighton, didn't it? But that was early doors in what we're trying to do. We're coming. We're working on it. You can see we're working on it because it's getting better every week. I felt very little worry during that game. I felt very little worry throughout the whole thing. Really, I didn't really feel like Southampton looked like scoring, other than the one they did score that got disallowed, and the save from close range from Martinez. They're the home team. They're supposed to be the ones playing the initiative. I didn't really feel at any point, but particularly worried. I think what Villa are working on at the moment, both on the pitch, on the training ground, and what they must be having to do, watching footage and analysts' footage and everything that they're going to have to be doing at the moment. The Villa players have got told a story today actually about Unai Emery by Kevin Hatchard, who's a European football expert. He said that when he was at Sevilla, obviously inundates the players with USBs with content on for them to go home, and I don't know whether he still does this. He would give players USBs for them to go home and watch match footage, and he felt that one of his players, he didn't think he was watching it, so basically the one week he gave him a blank USB.
Really?
And then he came into training the week after or the next day or whatever, and said, what did you think of the footage? How was it? And the player was like, oh yeah, it was good. Yeah, I learned a lot. And apparently there was absolutely nothing on this USB.
That's quality.
And Unai Emery caught him out. So I don't know whether the Villa players are going home with that level of detail in terms of going home with USBs, but they'll definitely be watching a hell of a lot of footage.
Can't imagine Matty Cash knows where USB is, to be honest.
Times might have moved on, but by now I don't know whether there's a different way.
Dropbox.
Doing it. This was USBs back in the Sevilla times. But I just thought that was a really interesting story.
That's really interesting.
The players now must be going through not only so much on the training pitch trying to learn with Emery, because he is an intense guy, but also what they'll have to be watching and stuff as well. They'll be going through a hell of a lot of footage, both of themselves and of the games coming up and the games gone by. They'll probably have to go back and look at that Southampton game countless times this week, looking at the stuff they did well, looking at the stuff that they didn't do well. But I just like it because, this is the kind of level of detail and things we just haven't had at Villa. I dread to think what we've been doing the last 10 months before Emery came in. I dread to think.
Playing with the 4 fullbacks, weren't we? Really inverted fullbacks and all sorts. But yeah, and I think just the way we play football. Mings is. I saw a comment there. Nice to see Mings not hit it straight to a striker every time he gets the ball. Well, sometimes he is, but he isn't playing it over the top or playing it into space. He's playing it into feet.
Playing with purpose.
Purpose. He's playing it lovely. Both Konza and Mings have both tried to chip. Just sort of chip balls into the middle. Something Brighton do a lot. I remember when they came to Villa Park and watching them play, the way Lewis Dunk and what's the other guy's name? I've got his name, the centre back. The way that they're passing from midfield, straight into the forward line, picking those gaps, and the fact that our defenders, who are not known for their passing, Ezri Konsa is probably a prime example of that, because he's not, look at his pass completion rate, his forward passes, it's not always been that great, but the way that they're passing the ball, the way Watkins is holding it up, the way Buendia, Ramsey run off Watkins, and the way we build attacks, it's just really, really impressive. In fact, the players are bought into it and doing it and executing it as well. Is really impressive. But I think obviously for everyone, the big concern now is looking at the squad. It's really, really thin. I think it's just now that Sanson's gone out on loan. Obviously, we've seen Ben Rapp's
going to be
back.
on his way.
Nakamba's on his way, I'm sure. Bertrand Traore, He's still on loan, is he?
Yeah,
I saw him in that
I
picture.
don't think we can call him back.
We're
He's
calling him
back
back.
at Bodymore having treatment, but I don't think we can call him
Right,
back. He's
okay.
injured anyway. I did
Yeah.
some maths before we came on whilst I was watching the Fulham Spurs game, and by my reckoning, we've got 18 senior players to fill a match day. I know it's 20. Sorry, we've got 20 senior players to fill a squad.
But is that three goalkeepers though?
No. Then add Steer onto that 21 and Sinsalo to 22. So we are very. If everyone's fit, basically, we've got a bench full of senior players, but that bench would include 4 defenders at the moment. You know, if we've got injuries like we have done at the moment, we're thin and we're suddenly having to pull people on the bench, like 2 goalkeepers on the bench last weekend, which I don't really like. Revan was on the bench, who, with all due respect, I don't really feel like he's going to come through and make it at Villa yet. He's got a space on the bench. Caden Young, who Emery seems to like and he's very excited about, he's on the bench. No problem with that. But we are thin, and we need to get some incomings in the next few weeks. Well, the next 8 days, isn't it? There's 8 days left of the transfer window now. So we're going to have to be active, and we're going to have to be busy, because we'll come on to Watkins, who obviously scored. Although Watkins scored, I went through our club profiles on the Villa app to make sure I hadn't missed anyone when I was doing my maths earlier. And when you says forward, just Ollie Watkins standing on his own. Yeah. There's no one else there, and we've seen this before with only having one striker. When we first season in the Premier League, well, we had 3, didn't we? We had Wesley, Keenan Davis, and Codger, but Codger wasn't fit for purpose. Wesley had just come in and was adapting, and Keenan Davis was always injured. You can't really operate with only one forward. We had El Ghazi playing up front for a little bit that season on his own at one point as well. So we've got to address the squad size, because we now, from nowhere, it feels like, in my mind, a little bit, I've got one of the smallest squads in the Premier League.
Oh, easily. And, you know, I know there's a lot of links to Guendouzi, and obviously spoke about it on Sky Sports, but I'm more concerned about the forward positions, I think. I feel like this is a really important few months. We're in a really good position, a position that we didn't think we'd be in, to be fair. But given what's happening in the table, how close things are, I think it's a real good opportunity to push on. And I look at the sort of lockdown season when we didn't really push on, and we were in a good position when Grealish got injured. And I feel like if we don't, I know January's difficult. I know it's a really difficult market to be involved in and try and be active in. But the fact that we've let players go, you know, I know we've signed Duran, and we'll come on to that in a second about the Juan Pablo Angel.
He was in my 20, by the way.
Duran. Yeah, and it looks like, you know, Memory said he's going to be involved in the Leicester game, but, you know, he doesn't see him as a main striker or anything like that. It's probably just the next few months he's just sort of developing, getting used to the squad, etc.
It's a big ask to come in and play Premier League games straight from the MLS at his age.
And Danny Ings is gone. Obviously, he's injured now as well for West Ham, so good timing from our perspective. But we're already short up front. Cameron Archer's gone. We're already short in the wide positions. Leon Bailey's not really playing as a wide player. He's playing more as a forward. You know, that's all we've got really. Coutinho is, you know, struggling, working hard.
He's struggling, but I give him his due. The last few times he's come on, he's ran his socks off when he's been on the pitch.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, he's not there to. I mean, yeah, it's a given. Everyone should work hard, but he's not there to do that. He's there to create, and you know, he hasn't had a goal contribution for. I think he's had one in the last 30 games or something stupid like that. So, you know, you need to get him more involved. Probably he's an option, definitely, but still, I think we need another striker. And I'll be concerned if we've left these players go and don't bring anyone in. I think that would be a bit of an own goal, given how well Emery's done. I know it's going to cost a bit. I know it's going to be difficult to buy someone, but why let Sanson go? Why let Ings go? I know Ings' money, 15 million, is, you know, it's good money given his, you know, his contract length and his age and his injury record, etc. But you know, if we're not going to bring anyone else in, then I'm really questioning why we let him go.
I'm relatively confident we wouldn't be letting these players go without pretty.
Well, so am I, because
someone was coming in. There was something going on with the forward, but I don't know why they haven't.
Dembele
hasn't been announced at this point, but I felt it seemed like Ings was going and there was a forward coming in ready to enter the building, and for whatever reason, I don't know what that is. That hasn't been announced or hasn't happened yet. Hopefully, that will happen in the near future. Obviously, it turns out that we weren't in for Danjuma, really, because if we had been, I think he would have come to Villa.
I don't mind that, because
I don't signed for Everton yet. Because
I don't think it's signed. I think it's signed
because I think that basically there's a chance that deal won't go through now. Danjuma, because he was very much going there because of Lampard. So if Lampard has gone, wouldn't surprise me if he didn't go there at all now, and that the plug got pulled on that deal, because Everton can't be buying a player without having a manager, and I don't think Danjuma will want to go there until he knows who the new manager is. So there's every chance that deal won't go through for Everton now. But we are not dangerously short, but like you say, there is.
I would say we're dangerously short. I would say that.
I just always think back to that season when we didn't have any centre backs in the Championship, and Chester was playing on one leg, and then he couldn't do it anymore. And then we had some games we had James Bree and Hutton as centre backs and things like that. Transabi then got injured as well. Jednak was injured at the time. We just at the moment I feel like we're begging for something to happen to Watkins. Just absolutely begging for it, and if it does, we're in trouble. Watkins is,
and he was touch and go for Southampton. Let's not forget.
And fair play to him because he comes under a lot of criticism. Ollie Watkins, I've been defending him quite a lot in recent weeks. It feels, he's popped up with a winner on Saturday. I was lamenting the fact that centre backs never score from set pieces for us, but then Ollie's popped up with it was a poacher's goal, really, wasn't it? Not the kind of goal we've seen from him, but good to see.
Yeah, good header, and similar against Liverpool as well. Both, he's been criticised for his heading before.
His goal contribution to Emery have been pretty high. I'm not.
Well, he's if you look at the stats, I think he's sort of top 5 in goal contributions this season. Or some in English. I saw the stat.
He was top 5 in something. I saw
something or another. Yeah. Someone in the comments remind me what it was, but. Yeah, I mean, I'm not doom or gloom or anything. I'm just, a little bit concerned, but I trust the owners. I trust what Emery's doing. I don't think Emery, given how meticulous he is and how methodical he is, I don't think he'd be letting players go if he didn't have a plan. Now, I know things change in transfer windows. We've seen, how many times have we seen players that we thought were about to sign and, suddenly, we saw Adebayor with the picture of the shirt on the pitch, and
I wish I could find that. I had that photo.
I've seen it.
I wish I could find
it. I've got it somewhere in my.
I definitely had it at one point.
Yeah, but so I think it's going to be a really interesting few days, and I trust him to get a couple in. I suppose the worst comes to worst, you could always recall, sort of Timo Ogbenham, Kessler Hayden's back.
But you're hindering him, aren't you? If you call him back, he's doing well.
What's happened to Louis Barry?
I've not heard many updates, so I assume not.
Finn Azaz is doing well.
Finn Azaz has done well with his 2 loans that he's had now, but it's getting not. I don't want to say desperate, but if you're calling those players back, you might as well have kept. Sanson's gone on loan. It's not like we've sold him and got any money for him. We might have had a little bit of his wages off the books. I can't imagine they're paying the entirety of his wage. You're letting players go on loan, and he's been on the bench, Sanson, pretty much the whole of the time since Emery's come in. So. He's in the squad, so I really feel we wouldn't be letting those players go unless we were close on a few things. I know they are working on things, but behind the scenes, I'm confident they'll sign at least 2 by the end of January.
Would you put your neck on the line and say Guendouzi's coming? Or I know you said Marseille expect a bid, but
yeah,
seems a lot of money to be spending in January. I think for one player.
There's 100% interest there. I think the price might be a little bit of a problem in January because the price is going to be inflated because they don't want to lose him at this point. They have kind of signed a replacement though, or they're signing a replacement, Illich, coming in, which makes me think there might be something going on with it. But the information from France today, when I was at Sky, was that Marseille know that there's interest from Villa. Villa are heavily interested. They haven't had a bid yet, but they're expecting one. But then there's also noises coming out that Villa can't pay that fee in January. I don't know whether that means that we've got a big fee coming up for someone else coming in, but they were the lines that were coming out of France when I was at Sky today. You don't get anything out of Villa. Villa are watertight, but you can find things off other sources from other clubs in other countries. But that basically when I was at Sky today, that's what happens. You pick up things through the day that are going on. People are talking about every club and what's going on, what's going to be in the show, and that was. Well,
if you look at the way we operate and the way the John Duran signing happened, out of the blue completely, then you just don't know, do you? With Villa, we could wake up. In the next 5 minutes, we could be announcing, we've signed bloody Anthony Gordon or someone. I don't know. It could be anyone. Yeah, but it could be anyone. It could be anyone out of the blue. The way things work, the way Villa operates. So, I think just wait and see, show a bit of patience, and give them the benefit of the doubt, I suppose. Did you see the Dangal video, by the way?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I saw it. Really good content from Villa. Fair play to him. I thought that was enjoyable content. It's nice to see. It was nice to see him getting a bit emotional hearing from Juan Pablo Angel. It was also nice to hear how I didn't have a clue what he was saying apart from the subtitles, but I liked the passion that he was showing. Maybe a career in acting for Juan Pablo. Did you say the way he pronounced it? John,
he didn't say Jean, did he? He says Joran or something. I think he said something like that.
I mean, when I was at school, that was not how you spelled John. With the H before, but yeah, I didn't hear that. No, but I know a bit of Spanish, so I knew some of the words. But
even Colombian Spanish is a bit different, though. I think that some of the phrases a bit different to what I'm used to anyway. But yeah, it was really good, really, really passionate, and the fact that he was getting emotional about it. And I never really know, with these types of things, actually, the players do actually care or not. But it seemed like he really,
the footballers do. They do care. They're human beings. They've got ambitions. They've got things they want to achieve, and often when they achieve it, they get emotional. And him hearing from someone who he's probably watched growing up, and he's an idol in Colombia, coming on the big screen as a surprise when you're at Villa Park, I can understand why that would be.
That would be the local Aston community were like, what was going on?
Yeah.
Villa Park.
We've got a Craig Butler in the comments. Isn't Leon Bailey's stepdad called Craig Butler?
He's called Craig Butler, but I don't think
Craig Butler.
I don't think Leon Bailey's dad's got a picture of Wetherspoons on his profile picture.
Never know. You'd never know, Omar. You might
get him on.
Get him on. Acquaint it off. God,
he'll be up here.
Podcast.
He'll be up here now.
Podcast, wouldn't it?
Quickly on Leon Bailey. I think I think he still gets a bit of stick, doesn't he, Leon Bailey? But I think he's working really hard for the team. He's contributed. Him and Buendia both contributed important goals. I think Buendia's got 4 match-winning goals and 2 1-1 draws, and got 2 drawing goals as well. And Bailey scored some important goals at home. But I still think they need to improve. I think there's room for improvement in terms of their end product. I think Buendia, especially, I've been disappointed with his. He works hard regardless. And he's a bit of a terrier, but I think he's been in good positions to slot a ball through or make a pass, and
he can be sloppy at times.
He can be sloppy, so I think he needs to just get a bit better. And I think Emery said he needs to just calm down a little bit and not be 100 miles an hour all the time.
Yeah, I do respect that he tries to play forward, Buendia. That's one thing I'd say of him. He gives the ball away sometimes because he's actually trying to make stuff happen, and he is trying to play the ball forward. He's not being safe, but he can be sloppy. That's my criticism of him. It's not so much when he's trying to play those passes and he gives the ball away. It's some of the easy passes and he can't do it.
Exactly.
That would be my criticism. I've got no problem with him giving the ball away because, like I say, I think he does try things. Every now and again, there's something simple. You think the simple options on, and he just doesn't seem to be able to do it. But I think there's room for improvement on all these players at the moment. I think they've adapted fantastically to what's happening with Emery at the moment. They've done so well. But I think there's levels for them to go up to. These players.
I think so.
Even someone who I think is pretty much flawless at the moment in Boubacar Kamara. I still think he's got another level or two to rise up to. He's just some player in that midfield. You can give him the ball in a tight space and he'll get out of it. If we haven't got the ball, there's every chance he'll win it back. He's such a clever footballer. He works so hard as well. He's got a bit of bite, a bit of tenacity. He uses the ball well. He's got a physical presence as well. He's such a good midfielder. And him and Luiz it's just a lovely central midfield partnership. And I've not liked Villa central midfield for a few years now, just not because I didn't like the players. I just didn't like the makeup of how we tried to execute things. But I love that partnership. It's just a classy partnership in the middle of the park.
Best since Taylor and Boateng for me, in terms of how they complement each other.
Yes.
I know we've had good midfielders, Barry and Milner, 2 prime examples.
Barry and Petrov was a good partnership.
Barry and Petrov was a good partnership, but I didn't think Petrov was he was consistent, but he wasn't top draw. But he was good. Barry was excellent, obviously one of our best ever players in the Premier League. But I think as a partnership, I think these 2 complement each other so well. Now, I have to say, it's only 7 games in under Emery, so anything could change. We've seen Douglas Luiz, for example, being consistent before, so you never know. But on the face of it, I think it looks like a really, really good partnership, and they complement each other well. They both work hard off the ball. They both intercept. They both read the game really well. They're both comfortable receiving the ball in tight spaces, and they both get forward as well and join in with the attack, which I think is key. So they're both playing that sort of double pivot role that we've talked about before. And it's not like one's just sitting and the other one's getting forward. They're both taking turns. They understand the game. They've got good partners, good understanding between each other as well. And that's why I think Taylor and Boateng, they were very similar. They were sort of both box to box, weren't they? Boateng obviously a bit more of a tough tackler, but I think that's why I compare them to those 2, just because I think they complement each other well. But they do all of the game. Their midfielder should be involved in. They do it well, both of them. So
Tails is riding on Boateng's coattails. If you ask me, that's how I remember.
That's it. I've got George Boateng on LinkedIn, so I might give him a message.
Yeah, is he Ghana? He's part of the Ghana setup, isn't he? I remember seeing him on the bench
he was
not at Villa anymore. I believe he wanted to stay actually and do both, but wasn't allowed, and has left Villa, I believe. But so he's part of the Ghana setup now. We've had some good midfield partnerships over these. I always had I always say Gareth Barry's probably up there as one of the best players I've watched
Hundred
play
percent,
play
hundred
for Villa,
percent.
just of his longevity at the club as well. He was there at the club for so long and contributed so much. Grealish and York are probably the two best footballers. Obviously, I reckon Barry's probably third. He's in that top three. He was a touch of class in that midfield. But honestly, Kamara, he probably won't be at Villa for years. I hope he is, but he probably won't be at Villa for years. But he's very good at a lot of the same things that Gareth Barry was good at, but he's also just a bit more athletic than Gareth Barry was as well. He's such a fine, such a steel, Kamara. And Gerrard did very few things right for us, but getting Boubacar Kamara and tempting him in, I think.
Do you think? Do you think we get Kamara without Gerrard?
No,
definitely.
I can't be 100%, but I'm relatively confident we wouldn't have got him if it wasn't for Gerrard.
Interesting.
I believe Gerrard's seduced him because Gerrard, whatever you think of him as a manager, and I don't think very much of him as a manager, as a footballer and as a midfielder, he was superb. And, players like Kamara would have looked at that and thought, he can teach me a lot about being a central midfielder. I think Kamara is so good, he could probably play as a 6 and 8 or a 10. I genuinely think he's that good. He's a phenomenal player. I absolutely love watching him. Such a great signing and someone I hope we can hold on to and build a team around for a number of years because he really is the kind of player that you build a team around. Yeah,
I think him, Martinez, Mings really in current form. Hopefully Diego Carlos. These types of players. I'm not saying Mings is because I know he's had moments and we know he can have moments.
Love him to bits, but I know not everyone does.
Yeah, but I know he's had moments. But I think those, if that is the spine of our team, that's a pretty good spine. If we can get that striker sorted, I think Watkins is fantastic. He can go levels above as well.
If you're playing two up front, Watkins is going to play. Whether we sign a striker, I'd still say Watkins is going to play.
Yeah, true. And I think Emery does rate him, but I think we need that little step up. John Duran, hopefully over time can be that. And I think, if you read all the scouting reports, he could be the next big thing. But I do think we need that, just a bit of quality. And, I was hoping this time last year we signed Coutinho and he'd scored against Man United and was running the show against Leeds and Southampton. And, we're thinking, I remember everyone saying, Coutinho is probably the best player we've ever had. At that time, I think
we soon changed our tune about that.
Yeah, and I was hoping maybe him, but someone on that kind of level who's sort of on the best days has got that ability to just change the game. I think that's the kind of player we need to push on. But easy me saying that, trying to get a player like that in forward areas is really, really difficult.
I think if Emery didn't rate Watkins, you just wouldn't have let Ings go. It's simply, if he wasn't sure about him, there's no way you let Ings leave the club. Because you're going to be thinking at some point, Watkins is going to let me down. I'm not sure about him. It's actually a massive show of faith in Ollie Watkins that Ings was allowed to go with us really not having many forwards in the building. And Watkins has started to pay that faith back with his scored a winner straight off the bat. As soon as Ings has gone, Watkins has stepped up and he scored that winner. I still think Ollie Watkins' all-round game is pretty strong and pretty good. His finishing can be erratic sometimes, and he lets his head drop, which would be something that I would criticise him for. I think if he misses a chance, his head drops, but it doesn't only just drop for one game, it drops for weeks. Hopefully now he'll just get a little bit of a run going because he's shown in lots of games in the Premier League that he can be an effective player at this level. No one works harder than Ollie Watkins up front. His pressing is absolutely ideal. I think his hold-up play is a lot better than he gets credit for.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic, I think, for his size.
Sometimes he's touching, a bit like Buendia. Sometimes when you ask him to do a simple thing, his touch will let you down, and that's frustrating, like we were saying about Buendia and the simple pass when it's on. Watkins will have to do something simple every now and again, and he won't be able to do it, and he'll frustrate you. But he does an awful lot of good for that team, and Aston Villa are a much better team with Ollie Watkins in it. And still, if you're asking me who I'd prefer in my team over Watkins and Ings, and I said this before I knew Ings was getting sold, it'd still be Watkins for me.
100%. I think his all-round game brings so much to the team, especially the way we want to play, as we saw against Southampton. Such an important part of that team. We saw against, Ings was great for a goal, but his all-round play let you down because it meant that you couldn't keep the ball and you couldn't build a play, you couldn't, build up attacks. And I think Watkins allows you to do that, as we saw against Southampton, especially in the first half. And end of the day, it's so hard. If you look at strikers and the amount of goals they score and goal contributions, then Watkins is right up there. After the sort of elite strikers, it's
by the top 6 teams, which we're not there. But
he's up there. Him and Tony are not far apart really in terms of the number of goals. I know Tony's been fantastic, but I just think it's so difficult. I think Neil's mentioned this as well before in the pod. It's so difficult to buy a striker who's going to get you 15 to 20 goals, or get you more than that. It's unheard of unless you unearth a gem. It's just going to be so difficult because you're going to have to pay 89 million pound plus to get a striker like that. So I think the fact we've got a striker who scored double digits last 2 seasons, and I know he's not at the best times this season, but he's still contributed in terms of assists. It's pretty good going. But I do think we do need another option, and we need another striker.
We'll get one. We will get one. I mean, what sums it up striker search wise in January is Manchester United, and this is no disrespect to Wout Weghorst, but Manchester United have signed Wout Weghorst. The Man U are going well at the moment. They're pushing for the Champions League. I know they lost yesterday, but they're on the up. They're having a good season, and the best striker they could come up with in January is Wout Weghorst. That probably tells you how difficult it is to get someone in, especially in January. Centre forwards is so difficult anyway because it does take a domino effect now. Because most teams play with one up front. It's very difficult to get a striker. Manchester United doing that tells you exactly how hard it is to get, especially to get someone proven who you can guarantee is going to get you goals. It's probably not there at the moment. Villa have had some great number 9s over my time, some great players. I'm seeing some of the names being in the comments here. There's some luckier people than me. Michael Huggins is saying here, Little and Cowans are the best players he's ever seen. Didn't see him. I'm too young. Not very often I feel young, but I feel young right now. Richard Homer, David Platt, I even missed him just about. I think I only started going just after David Platt. Villa have had some great players over the years. Hopefully Emery can start to bring that back for us because I like a lot of the players that are at the club, and even when Gerrard was here and we were stinking the joint out, I still maintain that there were some good players there and some players that I like. I don't think it's down to lack of effort. It felt like or lack of ability. It felt like it was down to lack of coaching. You're seeing with the coaching now, 5 wins from 7. The games that we've played, everyone's raving about Brighton. We went there and won with a couple of players out, 2-1, one from behind as well. There's nothing you can knock about Villa at the moment, and sometimes maybe the passing out from the back is making certain fans uncomfortable. But just embrace it because we've got a plan and we're playing football. And Villa haven't played good football for a number of years, so
spot on.
Just enjoy it at the moment, and week off now, weekend off, more time on the training pitch, more USBs for the players. So let's see what happens when we come back against Leicester. That'll do us today, but we'll come back with a transfer show, I suspect, at some point this week. I imagine Villa will sign someone.
Quick shout out for the women's team as well, by the way. I know you watched the game.
Great result at Man City.
Yeah, I thought Kenza Dali was fantastic.
Yeah, she's a good player.
So impressive. Such an impressive player.
You know what?
Reminds me a bit like Merson.
They got a good side as well.
It reminds me of Merson. She does the way she plays and runs with the ball and how she goes.
I'd go along with that.
I think she's fantastic. But
the building's something good there. Building's something good there.
Very good.
Top 5 could be on this season for Villa women. A couple of smart loan additions in the January market as well. They've got a good team now. They're there. It's taken a couple of years to get to this point, but I really think that with the women's team is there now. There's some exceptional players in that side, and very, very good chance to finish top 5. I don't know off the top of my head whether the top 5 get to European football. I think it maybe does.
Sure.
But they've got a good chance of finishing certainly in the top half. If they don't finish in the top half, I think Carla Ward, who's just signed a new contract, will be very, very disappointed. But you're right to shout that out because that's they've played Man City twice this season and haven't lost, which that in itself is huge progress. Man City have been an elite team at that level for a long time. That does us for this post-match point. As I say, we'll do a transfer show in the week. Whether we sign anyone or not, we'll jump on over the next couple of nights.
The deadline day show, do you reckon?
Wow. If I'm at Sky in the morning on deadline day. I'll be back though. I'll be back in the afternoon. I'll be back in the afternoon. Yeah, that was good last year. We'll do that. We'll do that again. I enjoyed staying out the last hour with you. We'll pencil that in. We'll do that again. See if our producer can get us on air, and we'll have a go at doing that. So don't forget to check out Purity. If you do enjoy their stuff, you'll get 10% off by using the code #VillaView. Hope you have a good week. As I say, we'll do a video in the next couple of days. Thanks to Omar for joining me. Thanks to all those that have joined us live as well. It was over 500 at one point, which is great to see. Really enjoy seeing your comments filter through as we do the shows. Have a good rest of the night. So have a good sleep, basically, and up the Villa.
Up the Villa.